Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next lesson, which is all about Google Analytics. And as of 1st of July 2023, depending on whether you're watching this video before that, then you may be already in the process of migrating to GA4. And if you're watching this video after that, then you're already probably on GA4. So in this tutorial, we're going to discuss the basic reports and an overview of Google Analytics, and specifically GA4, which is the new version, the latest version of Google Analytics as of making this video. And before this, you might have heard of Universal Analytics, which was the previous version. If you still have a Universal Analytics account, you'll see something like this with a message from Google to transition you to GA4. And as of making this video, it shows a countdown. And there is a setup assistant to actually help you set up the GA4 account. So if you are new to analytics, or if you're used to UA, this tutorial will help you sort of get an overview of GA4. So in growth marketing, whether you're a marketeer or an entrepreneur, there's something that we discussed in the previous video, which is about lean analytics. You want to look at the metrics that really matter. So before you even dive into a dashboard like this, which is quite tempting because it's cool. It's, there's a lot of numbers here and there. But before you even dive deep into this, you need to really understand what are the lead key metrics that you want to measure. And these are the metrics that actually can show you the path of your business in just a few numbers. I also say to my team that within the team, different members of the team need different number of metrics. So as a business owner, I run a digital marketing agency. I just need to know, the first thing is, what's my average retainer, right, for the agency? What's my profit margin in the agency? And overall, how satisfied, what is the satisfaction score, which is more qualitative than the first two? How satisfied are my clients and my partners, my team? With those three metrics, I can basically just run the agency. And then my project managers need to really look at, 9 different metrics, let's say, for each of my clients. And then the individual channel managers for each channel, like ads, email, social media, influencer, SMS, etc., may need to look at 12 different metrics for their channels, right? So as you go up the hierarchy, ideally the number of metrics should reduce. And also those metrics should get input from the metrics below the hierarchy. So the channel metrics should feed into the project metrics, should feed into the management metrics. So that being said, make sure you don't get lost in these reports. I'm going to give you a walk through the way that I use GA4. So the first thing that you will see, and by the way, this is demo account from Google. If you want to play around, you can just go to this page, just search for GA4 demo account, click on access the demo account, and you'll be able to see this GA4 property that you can have a look at. So be mindful that this is a demo account and hence not everything will be ideal, realistic, but it will give you a good overview of the dashboard. So the first thing is, typically, as a growth marketer entrepreneur, it's tempting to look at the overview reports, but I usually tend to stay away from these reports. So the first thing is the homepage, which I stay away from. The live report is something that I also stay away from. So I would just basically go on the reports and then look at all of these reports here, which are like the standard reports. The first thing again is snapshot. I would typically again stay away from a snapshot. With acquisition, I would stay away from overview. Again, with engagement, I would stay away from overview, monetization, overview, etc. So the key, the basic reports, which are like the overview reports or the snapshot reports, have the least amount of depth, in my opinion. And they are, I feel, more vanity, or if you really don't have time and you just want to see, okay, this is what's happening in my store, move on. But if you really want to make some data-driven decisions, then the magic happens in the other reports, either in these reports, which are non-overview reports, or in custom dashboards and custom reports that you build. Like, that's the first thing to understand. Don't get too lost on the homepage and don't get too lost on the overview reports. So that brings us to the point of where should you be spending your time on. So as a marketer or someone who's managing campaigns for a business, I typically would spend most of my time on the traffic acquisition report. And what I would do is I would have campaigns across different channels. I would have UTM links across different channels and sources. And then I would monitor how they are performing through this traffic acquisition report. If I am, let's say, an e-commerce store and I have configured my e-commerce metrics, then I could be also spending a lot of time on the e-commerce purchases report, which will be my second most useful report. Apart from these top two reports, the third most useful report will be something that you actually build yourself, which is a custom report. So if you had to ask me the 80-20 of Google Analytics or GA4, like what are the three things that you would look at inside GA4? The first thing would be traffic acquisition. The second thing would be your purchases or conversions report. And the third thing would be your custom report that you've built based on your metrics. Now, the third one is something that would depend on what metrics you pick for your business. And at different stages of your business, there'll be different things that are important. So we have the OMDM concept, then we have the North Star metric concept, which we have discussed in the previous lessons. So according to that, you will be picking your metrics in your custom reports, right? So what we're going to see is I'm going to give you an overview anyways, but I have told you what are the reports that I just look at. Okay. Now let's start. Okay. So the first thing is home. Like I said, I don't spend too much time on the home, but if you look at it, it's giving you the number of users, event count, conversions, new users, and some live data, which is really, real-time data, honestly, has not been very useful in the last 10, 12 years that I've been using analytics. I've hardly ever used the live data. The only thing I find useful in the home page is actually the recently accessed reports, because these are some things that, maybe I was looking at something in the past, which I want to continue looking at the previous time that I logged into analytics. That's really mostly the important thing. Then we have users by country, by source, etc. And then as you use your account, you'll also get some insights and recommendations. But yeah, really honestly, if you want to look at, if you want to follow a lean analytics framework, there's really nothing on the home Google Analytics dashboard. Just being very upfront here. You can definitely use this feature, which is sort of a shortcut, just like you have with Google Drive. You can see what you recently opened. But apart from that, I don't find it very valuable. The next thing is the reports, right? So we go into the reports now. Again, the snapshot is an overview of users, the engagement time, the total revenue, again, some live real-time data here, which I don't really find any use of. Real-time is something I hardly see. It's good for vanity, I feel. It's nice to see what's happening here, what pages people are on, where users are coming from. Now, since this data keeps changing over time, like the last 30 minutes and then what happens in the next 30 minutes could be very different. There's not much that you can take away. And, it's not like you're going to see, okay, this person is on this page, so I should go on this page and make some changes and experiment how it works, right? So there's less scope of any sort of growth experimentation coming from the real-time report. So I don't really waste time on the real-time report as well, going by my lean methodology. Again, within acquisition, there is acquisition overview, which I don't really see, because anything which is an overview is typically not going to be very helpful to generate any real split testing strategies or growth marketing campaigns, etc. The user acquisition report is slightly useful. And this is where you could start, right? So if you look at the user acquisition report, okay, first of all, there is a chart, which you can really honestly just skip. Just go to the table below. And this is where it shows what channels are driving your traffic. I personally like to use the first user source medium. So when you click on this, basically what you're doing is you're switching between dimensions. So you must know these two technical terms, dimensions and metrics. Those are the two key things in Google Analytics. Dimensions are sort of the different parts of the puzzle. And then the metrics are those numbers assigned to each of that part of the puzzle, right? So the slices of the pizza is your dimensions. And then within that, how then each of that slice performs, etc., is your metrics. So I would typically just switch this for source medium. If you're not familiar with source medium, you can create UTM links, and every link will track traffic from that particular source or medium. So you can track traffic from different links and hence understand how that channel performs. So let me give you an example. We have this 30 days growth marketing course. So I promote this growth marketing course on my LinkedIn profile. So I'm just going to open my LinkedIn profile to show you this. And on the LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I have a link, Learn Growth Marketing. If you click on that link, you will see that there is, of course, the landing page of the course, but then there's the UTM source, which is LinkedIn, the UTM medium, which is organic, and then there's a UTM campaign, which is the profile link. So when I look into my analytics dashboard, I should be able to see the number of conversions, number of people hitting this page because I added the UTM parameters on the URL. That's how the technology works. You just add the URL parameters to your URL and you'll be able to track that particular traffic coming from this source, this medium, and this campaign in your analytics dashboard. If I was also making a post on LinkedIn, I would say LinkedIn organic post. Then I would be able to track how many people actually came from LinkedIn through the post versus how many people came from LinkedIn through the profile link, because there's a distinction between the two, even though both are coming from LinkedIn. You could do this with ad campaigns where you can see which campaign and which particular keyword even people coming from that particular campaign. So this is very helpful. There is a UTM Builder Google Sheet that I use, which I can share with you. I'll put a link in the video itself. So all you need to do is put the URL, source, medium, campaign, if required, term and content, and then it's going to generate the UTM link by itself using this formula in the Google Sheet. Okay. So pretty straightforward. If you're not a big fan of Google Sheet, you can just search for UTM link builder and you should be able to get a lot of these tools. This is the one that I personally use. A lot of these tools that let you build the UTM right here. So it's helping me build this UTM link for my landing page of the 30 days course. I put the campaign source as medium, campaign medium as search, and campaign name as 30 days course. You can also add the keywords that you're targeting with this ad, so you can see which keyword is performing better using the campaign. All right. So back to the report. Now, the key difference between user acquisition and traffic acquisition, if you actually go to traffic acquisition, you'll see that the report looks more or less the same. There's the same option of selecting session source medium. So what's the difference? So the difference is that in the user acquisition report, you are seeing which source/medium the user came from on the first visit. Okay. So let's take an example of an e-commerce website. Let's say I came to your website through Google Ads. So in the user acquisition report, it's going to show me here one of those 17,499 people who came from Google CPC. However, let's say I came on your website, I signed up for a 10% discount. You showed me a pop-up, get a 10% off on your first order if you sign up for our email newsletter. I did sign up on your email newsletter. And then what happened? I left your website. You send me the discount on email. I clicked on the email and I came to your website back again and I made a purchase from your website. So guess where I would show now if you added your UTM, assuming you added your UTM parameters in your email campaign, where would I show in the user acquisition report? And the answer is I would still show under Google CPC. That's because I came from Google CPC the first time. But in the traffic acquisition report, I will actually show in the email source medium. So in the email campaign source medium is where I would show, assuming you had built that UTM out there. So that's the difference. The traffic acquisition report would actually take that particular session into account, while the user acquisition report will take into account the first source that the user came from. That's the key difference. And hence, in my opinion, the traffic acquisition becomes the most valuable report for a marketeer. So you're able to see how many people came from ads, okay, how much time they spent, what was the engagement rate, events, conversions, and revenue. However, you're not able to see something that is very important as to which campaign they converted from, which you can add here, which is another dimension. So you've taken a part of a slice of the pizza and you're making another slice out of it. So what you could do here is you could say, add traffic source, and you have all of these options. You select the session campaign, right? So this is the same thing as the campaign in the UTM. So now you know which of your ad campaign or whatever marketing campaign you're running did they come from. So here you can see, okay, this is my Performance Max test. This is my Performance Max testing with lifestyle images. Now you're able to differentiate and measure the results from these campaigns right here. So let me move myself here. So here you can see that your conversions are happening from your PMAX campaign and then slightly lower from the lifestyle images. And then this is some experiment campaign that is not really working that well, and so on. So adding another dimension, secondary dimension, and then measuring metrics is a good way to go about looking at your traffic acquisition report. Now, we were able to add another dimension. Now, a good question would be here, how do we add additional metrics? So we have users, sessions, engagement session, engagement rate, conversions. One metric that I really like, which you don't see here, is conversion rate. So while conversions is great, it's more important to look at out of 100 people, how many people converted for this page, from this campaign. It's slightly better, in my opinion, because then you're able to see, is it just converting more because we spend more money on it, or is it just per unit converting better? And for that, you could add metrics to this report. Since this is a demo account, you don't see it, but there will be a pencil icon right here on the top right, just next to the insights, which will allow you to add metrics to your report if you own that particular property on GA4. So I'm actually going to show you that. Let me switch into one of my real accounts that I can show you. So I'm just going on this website, and here you see there's a pencil icon on the right for customizing report, where it allows you to add a metric to the report. So you see that all of these metrics are already there, but then you can choose whatever metric, whatever metric you want. I love the conversion rate metric, so that's the one that I'm going to add and apply. And you can choose to add whichever metric you want to see here. So that's let's stick to this account now that we are here. So that's your traffic acquisition report, and I think that's where you'll probably spend most of your time as a marketeer, or even an entrepreneur who's running campaigns for your business. And the other things that you have here is, of course, engagement. I do like the landing page report. This could be like the 4th or 5th report for me, but I do like to see which particular page has more engagement or, more conversions. That conversions are not configured in this account. This is not really one of my major projects, but it's interesting to see which page is performing better. And of course, the difference between pages and screens and landing page is that in this case, we are only seeing if the person landed on this page, if that was the first page that they saw on the website, and then what happened. Right? Versus on pages and screens, you would see basically any page, whether it was the first page or not of the particular user landing on the website. Conversions would depend on how you've configured them. I have not configured conversions in this case, but you can configure some of these conversions that have just been fetched by Google Analytics itself. But you can configure certain conversions like your thank you pages, etc., to see how they're performing. Then you have your events. First visit makes a good event, but does not make a good conversion. So as you can see here, there's a first visit conversion on this report, which doesn't really make sense. So you don't want to have that in your conversions. Then you have your monetization. Like you said, if you're e-commerce, then this could be a good report to look at. In this case, it's not an e-commerce store. So let us go back to the demo account to look at the e-commerce report, which, like I said, was my second best report if you have configured it. So let's go here. If you're using something like a Shopify or something, they're like pretty good basic tutorials to configure this. But here we see the e-commerce purchases, and you can just filter this sort this by revenue, let's say. So here you're able to see which product sells the most. You can also see which product has the most traffic. And like I showed you in the pencil icon, you can add the conversion rate and see which product has a better conversion rate. And that's the product you want to probably spend more money on versus let's say you have some winner products, but one of those products has a reducing conversion rate because of perhaps a change in season, perhaps a change in buying preferences of your target persona. And in that case, you want to reduce the budgets there, improve the budgets, increase the budgets on products that have an increasing conversion rate. Those kinds of decisions can be made using this report. And that's the reason why I like this report, because it directly links with the decisions that I can make at the ad account level. Right? So, like I said, you have your key reports here. The final thing is retention. Now, of course, any discussion of analytics and growth marketing would not be complete if we don't complete the funnel. However, that being said, I have not found the retention report, to be very honest, to be very, very accurate. So it's not something that I rely on, right? And you may have to go to different tools for that sort of thing. But yeah, there is a retention option here, not something that I find very reliable with Google Analytics. There's different reasons for that, cookies, etc. Another thing that you might find irritating when you move to GA4 or analytics, just start analytics for that matter, is the not set thing. And this is really a technical limitation where Google Analytics really does not have a way to track this traffic. One simple hack to, of course, reduce this is to increase the session duration in your analytics settings. There's a nice tutorial on this if you search for how to increase session duration. But it does not really get rid of the problem completely. The problem still exists. So you can make off the data with the rest of the data, what you have. But this one is a really pain as of now. So those are the key reports. Finally, you have some data of, demographics and tech, like what kind of devices people are using. Not something I spend too much time on. Yes, of course, if you have some issues with your mobile website, let's say, and then the speed of the website is pretty low on mobile, or certain browsers don't support your website, your tech team should be looking into this, or you should be sending this data to your tech team to improvise those platforms. So that's a quick overview of GA4 and some of the specific reports that I use as a growth marketeer. So you should look at, one, your traffic analytics. Secondly, you can look at your landing pages if you're running ads. If you're e-commerce, you can look at your e-commerce conversions report. And finally, you can get into, once you've done the basic stuff, you can actually get into making your custom reports. So that's all for this lesson and this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.